Right.
These damn champions didn't even go against me. Like, I was like, what? You going to keep me in the suit to bring me down so that your level can go up, bro? Yeah. I should have wrestled every one of these guys. I called Gunther. I was like, man, I should wrestle Gunther. You think you're this?
Can you imagine? Can you?
It's the Lame Guys Podcast.
So we have a very special guest today, our first guest on the podcast, actually. He is a 3-time National Amateur Wrestling Champion. He is an MMA fighter, a 4-time TNA Impact World Champion, 2-time ECW World Champion, 3 times U.S. Champion, 2-time IC Champion, 2-time WWE World Champion, does real estate, has an amazing organization, and is responsible for a billionaire's hair being cut at WrestleMania 23. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley.
One and only.
Yes,
Yes, like that.
We appreciate you coming out here, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate this. For someone like us, like we said earlier, it's just like we're a year in, and we did not expect something this big to happen. So we definitely don't take this for granted.
You know, that's life. When I was just here listening to you give my introduction of things that I've done, I was like, damn, I did do all that.
Yeah.
You know, everything happened so fast, and it's just a blessing.
It's been a legendary career for you.
It's been fun.
And we truly have been watching since the beginning. I mean, for us, we always say like the Ruthless Aggression era. That was pretty much our time when we were both 28, 27. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much 03, 02 is when we started. So from there.
Yeah. So pretty much first question that we had for you is what you've been up to since you've been gone from WWE.
What have I been up to? I've been busy. You know, when I said that, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do.
Right.
I was getting to the end of my contract with WWE, and I was like, I got a lot of things that I've set myself up for. That's the biggest thing, because before, when I was in WWE, I was talking to a lot of the guys in there, and being one of the older wrestlers, I was like, man, let me try to give back. So what I did is I started doing real estate.
Okay.
On my second run, so back in 2018, I started really heavy into it, but I started early on. When I was about 08, 09, I bought my first house, flipped it, and when I had an opportunity to get back to WWE, I was like, I'm going to make all the smart moves right now. So when I came in, I was probably buying a house every month and a half. Okay. I was buying a house, not big, huge houses. Because I was buying them with cash.
Right.
And what I was telling some of the guys, I was like, man, that's the biggest thing with sports is we get accustomed to this lifestyle where we're making a whole bunch of money. When it stops, it stops. I mean, and I've been very blessed in WWE to be at the higher pay scale towards the end of my career. So I was like, those checks are nice. Every week it's like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
I said, but there's going to be a point where that just goes and
where
stops. And I've done it before, because I was in before when I did my first run. I got out in 2008. I was fortunate enough to sign some big fight contracts and stay active. And I did stuff with the Impact, with TNA at the time. So I was able to sustain a good salary. But there was a time where I was like, man, all that money that I saved up is going down. You know, bills are coming. My kids need something all the time. So I was like, man, I don't want to feel in that. I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to do something.
Right. When
I was leaving this last time, I was like, I'm setting myself up. So I had a bunch of real estate. I have a bunch of rentals. I have oil and gas projects. I have a hot works gym.
Wow.
Up in Denton, and I've invested all over the place.
Yeah,
so,
smart.
So that was my biggest thing. So right now I've just kind of invested in everything, and then I've invested in myself also. And investing in myself is all the way throughout my career, nobody really got to see me. I've always kept that hidden. They see Bobby Lashley where I'm over smashing people and beating people up, but nobody sees me, like the dad, the philanthropist, the business owner and stuff like that. So what I've been doing a lot of vlogs, and then there's a big project that I'm hugely passionate for is my program called Phenoms to Legends. Okay. So I go and travel around and I meet kids that are doing just extraordinary in sports.
Yes.
I sit down with them, talk to them, get to know them, highlight them on my channels, and then I play their sport with them. So
that's cool.
They get to see a chance to watch me interact. Like the last girl, she was a dancer, so she put me through a little dance routine. And then the guy before that was a basketball player.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
14 years old. 6'2", dunks.
Wow.
He's like the number one
Gosh.
basketball
Okay.
player in the state of Texas. So I meet these kids, talk with them, see what they're all about, and then I do their sport with them. And really just kind of dig into their minds. So that's what
Yeah.
I've been doing right now.
That's great.
And of course, I've been trying to stay in shape because I don't know if I'm going to be doing a boxing match. I don't know if I'm going to do another fight. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm going to go back to pro wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's on the table right
Right.
now. So
Speaking, I mean, since you said the boxing, how do you
Yeah.
feel about this whole celebrity boxing type deal with Jake Paul, Logan Paul, these other celebrities doing boxing?
wow.
What's your opinion on that?
So let me. I'll give you this opinion. I always say that when you're dealing with something like that in the sport, you got to embrace it.
Right.
Now, but so there's two sides of it. So there's the side of the guys that are in it. So when I left WWE the first time and I went to fight MMA, a lot of the MMA guys were like, "Oh my God, this pro wrestlers coming to MMA, and
Right.
we don't like that." And I was like, "Well, slow down, bro." I was in a martial art. I wrestled for 20 years, and I won national championships. I placed the world championships. So I'm not just a pro wrestler coming
Right.
into MMA. I'm actually a martial artist coming into it. I learned boxing and everything like that. So I learned the sport, and I showed that I was a student of the game, not somebody just coming to take a money bag.
Right.
And,
Okay,
and there's
gotcha.
some guys that did it. So when I go back, so now to Jake Paul and those guys, I like it because what it does is it brings more viewers to the boxers. Some of the boxers that may not get it. I used to say this in MMA all the time. I said, man, if Miley Cyrus is fighting on the MMA card, I want to be on it. And that was at the time. That was, I mean, now it's
Yeah, yeah.
completely
Right,
different.
right.
It was maybe a Swiftie.
Yeah.
If she's on there, then I want to be on that card. And I say that because on their way to watching her, they're going to see me first. And that's my opportunity to display myself in front
That's
of a
true.
large crowd. So I'm saying these guys now, instead of like pushing Jake away, saying, you know what, I want to be on his card. Because he's doing some things that are good for the sport. He's bringing
Right.
a lot of viewers in, and he's able to highlight some other boxers that you may not have known that are great,
Yeah.
that don't get that out. But now on his side, there has to be a level of respect for the sport.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay? And in pro wrestling and anything, we have all kinds of guys come over into our sport of pro wrestling, and they come out and do it. It's like, just show respect. Like that's what I was built on in WWE. When I came up, you know, you walk in, you shake everybody's hand, you look
Right.
them in the eye, because we're working together.
Yeah,
You know, I'm putting my
Yes.
body on the line,
Of course.
and you have my body that you can do anything with. I got to trust you. You got to trust me. So we shake hands. That's a level of respect. And then learning about the business, and then being a student of the game, not just, hi, now we put a match together and you go display a match. Go on there, you know, do some live events,
Yeah.
do some house shows, shake some people's hands, give appreciation to the crowds, because it's those people that are responsible for me. So like I'm big on fans. Like I love to go and talk to fans,
Right.
because I'm putting my daughter through college right now. My kids are doing well. I got a house and everything. Like, it's not because, I mean, I'm part of it because I put it into it, but it's a crowd. It's
Right.
fans, and they believe me. They go behind me, and that's how I'm able to do it. So I always show respect to the fans also. So like I said, Jake Paul, just show respect to the boxers, show respect to the fans, have fun with it, bring more eyes into it, and the guys that are on his card, get on his card, so
Right.
that you can display your skills in front of a big audience.
So when it comes to what you just spoke on about showing respect when you come into the business. So
Yeah.
when you first came into the business, who were some of the guys that you instantly you knew this is the person I have to show respect to? And was there any wrestlers that instantly took you under their wing, or like you felt like I want to have that connection with them?
Everyone, because I came from a different era. Like, so when I first got on the road, you had Booker, Big Show, Batista, Ray, Cena, Taker, Edge, Helms, and
Eddie Guerrero.
I don't want
Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero. I mean, at the time, Benoit. I mean,
Yeah.
but the hardcore Holly.
Yeah.
Randy Orton.
JBL, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Like,
This
bro,
is the era
you
that
walk,
we-
you walk into
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
room
yeah.
as a fresh dude
That's
out of
the era that
OVW,
yeah.
and try not to shake one of those guys' hand. Man, there was one time some extra came in, and he came into the locker room, and I'm sitting and I'm getting dressed over here on the side, and this dude goes to a locker. This is the extra. He goes into our locker where all of us are at, and he sees the locker over there. He takes his suit and moves his suit over, and I was looking at him like,
shit.
I was like, why is he? Why he's an extra? Why is he doing that? And then I was looking. I was like, is that Teddy Long? He's moving Teddy Long stuff. Like
Legend
Like
Teddy
if-
Long.
I'm gonna move Teddy Long stuff out of the way,
Yeah.
and take his spot. And I was just sitting there like a fly on the wall. I'm like, this is not going to end well. And then he left, and then Teddy Long came in, and Teddy Long was like, man, who moved my stuff? And he was looking at that, and then JBL was right behind him.
Oh, shit.
I said, bro, this ain't going to end well for this guy. And I mean, that guy was soon out of there. And I think he got roughed up a little bit in his match.
I believe it.
I'm not saying it was me.
Right.
But I'm saying it could be. But it was just a level of respect, and people didn't understand that. You don't come in the locker room. I don't care who it is. You don't move anybody's stuff.
Yeah.
But then you accidentally move Teddy Long stuff. So you have the wrestlers, and then the wrestlers have a lot of respect for Teddy Long because of how long he was in the business.
Yeah.
So this was just a bad move. I mean, the only move that you could have did that was worse than that is maybe moving Takers.
I can't imagine that.
And if you'd have did that, you must have just take your stuff and go home. Just go home.
I mean, plenty of stories about hearing how he was, for many people, a locker room leader. So I'm sure, that definitely would have been a bad one.
Yeah.
Right there.
And to answer your question of who took me under their wing a little bit, I think in that era, all the guys were. So that's why it was such a good era. Like, when you come out from the curtain, I mean, I had so many people pull me aside and just kind of give me some different things. Like Taker stopped me one time. I was doing a match, amateur wrestler coming in. I was always like in that low stance,
right,
trying to get after people. And he was like, you're a star. Stand up right. He said, I understand you got that wrestling thing, but it's making you look smaller.
Yeah.
You're a big dude. Your body's very impressive. Show it off. And then you can't show it off if you're like this.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, take a little tidbit. Eddie Guerrero, I remember he came and he was like, showed me afterwards. He was like, when you see that crowd, all those people around, he said, pick one kid out there in the middle of that crowd. And when you go up to your corner and you do your deal, you look right at him and you point at him. And I've always done that in my career. I look at somebody, because if you're sitting in the audience and you're at a show, you know if I'm looking at you or if I'm looking at, like, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
And even all the way up there, I pointed at people at the top of the rafters, and I would see the kid saying, he's pointing at me. And what you do is you, gain a fan, and you gain somebody that's going to, like, root you on.
Right.
And it spreads.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when I'm getting beat up in a match, and I turn and look to that same person that I pointed to at the end, he's like, come on, Bobby. Come on, Bobby. And then that just spreads throughout the audience, and everybody comes at you because of this person. You can't talk to everybody, but you can talk to one person, and that'll spread better than anything else.
Yeah.
And I learned that from him. So there was always somebody that I came out that always would give me something. And it's countless. I mean, countless. I can go all the way through it from Booker to JBL to Big Show and we were like that. Coming back this time, it's been a little different. And it's like the young guys are coming up and they already think that they're superstars, so they don't want to hear anything anyway.
Yeah.
And some of the older guys are like, I'm just doing my thing, so I'm just over here. So it's kind of like, it was a little strange coming back because it seemed like everybody was kind of like their own. And I came up to somebody one time just to see how it was, right? One of the guys that were in there, I have plenty of years under my belt, but I just wanted to test this out. And I came out and I asked one of the guys, I was like, hey man, it's a different generation right now. Is there anything that you think that I could use to kind of help me connect with this crowd a little bit? And he was like, he was shocked that I asked him.
Right.
But I felt that he went into like little chat groups like, oh, Bobby's asking me this question. Oh, like shit. Yeah. It's like different, bro. It's like, like everybody can learn from something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it does, like, if you see something in my match, talk to me about it, because I want to have the best matches. I want to have the best show, and I want to be able to engage and connect with the crowd the best I can. And if you're watching me and there's something that you feel that I'm losing, just tell me.
Right.
And that's what I try to do. Like, I was really, it's hard with this, like, because guys are coming up from NXT, they don't want nothing.
Yeah.
I'm the best. I don't need anything. I know everything. It's like, or they'll go and try to like kiss ass to the one person. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go to so and so and I'm gonna act like, bro, look, I got 20 years of wrestling right now.
Yeah.
I can help you out.
Yeah.
P can help you out. Drew can help you out. Punk can help you out. All these different people. Don't go to somebody trying to kiss their ass because they got a belt.
Right.
So, I mean, it's different. And I'm not harping on this day and age. I'm just saying it was different when I came up. Everybody was just trying to work together to make the show better.
Yeah.
You brought up Eddie Guerrero earlier. He was my favorite wrestler at the time that he passed away.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the time where I think of your early days in WWE, and you got pretty much thrust into the spotlight already.
Yeah.
And I think about the 2005 Survivor Series between Team Raw and Team SmackDown, and you're in that match.
Yes.
I was a SmackDown guy as well here. So, you being on that team holds a special memory in our with us. So, can you talk about, I don't know if you remember much about it, but can you talk about that experience being thrust into that spotlight that early in your career?
You know what? I remember there was a cool story with it. I came out when it was time. I think it was the actual match, or it might have been something where we were doing. I think it might have been the match. I got brought out a little earlier, so I was in the ring, and I'm being Bobby, jumped on the ring, ready to go. Look, anybody come down there, I'm smashing them, And then I stood there and I'm watching down the runway, or the ramp. Somebody else comes out, and then Ray pops out. They go, "Booyaka!" Yeah. He jumps out, and he jumps down there, and he comes to the ring. And then I went from like to like, this is so cool. and then Ray goes over and hits me. He goes, "Bobby, stop being a fan." I was like, "Oh yeah." But you can't see. That's the thing about wrestling is that even though I've done it, I'm still a fan.
Right.
So it's cool. It's always cool to me. And I try to tell some of the guys, I'm like, man, got like. A lot of times before my matches, I would just be running around in a circle, and I would go to the referee and I'd go by him. I'm like, this is so cool, man. Like, embrace this. Yeah. You're standing in this ring. 15,000 people are watching in this arena, and you have like 3 million watching you behind that. I was like, man, you're never gonna. This is a dream. Because like, I'm a normal. I always say I'm an ordinary person. I just do extraordinary things. So I always put myself under that ordinary person category sometimes. And when I ran around the ring, I was like, we're just regular dudes, man, but everybody here is looking at us. We're not a football field where there's 20-something guys on the field and like a bunch of guys on the sideline and all kinds of stuff. It's just us.
All eyes on you. Yeah.
All eyes on us. I was like, man, if that's not an incredible feeling, I don't know what is.
That's
so
awesome.
Just embrace that.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I don't know how long you've lived in Texas. How long has it been now?
2 years now.
2 years. Okay. Yeah. Another person that's from Texas is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
We just before you got here, actually, we were watching, and we had it in the intro as well. We were watching the WrestleMania 23 match with you and Umaga. What was that like working with Donald Trump, Umaga, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince?
Being put in a big caliber match like that.
I was talking about that yesterday.
Where you were there?
Yesterday. So, almost 20 years later, I'm still talking about that match. Like, wow, man, that was
legendary.
Friggin' crazy. And like I said, you never know about things when you're doing it. It just happens. That's how life is. It just happens. And in wrestling, it was just happening. And then I had to stop during that match too. And I was like, man, Donald Trump just came down with Miss America. Vince is right there. Shane is right there. Stone Cold Steve Austin's right there. Umaga, one of my almost favorite people in this entire world to work. He was friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, look at this. And there's 98,000 people out here, bro. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. My life has been a dream, man.
Yeah.
And it's been a movie that I think every once in a while I kind of step away from and look at it and say, man, that's pretty damn cool,
Yeah.
And that particular one, man, they dropped $250,000 onto the crowd.
We were just talking about how we wish we were there.
So it was real money. Yeah. and I came out and I was walking up the ramp. I think I was walking down the ramp after it, or I was walking up the ramp after it. One of the two. But I was walking down there and I was like, man, that's a $20 bill and that's a $50 bill. I was like, is everybody looking at me or can I like slide some of this? But yeah, it was that whole thing was just a spectacle. I slammed Vince on a table at Trump Towers during a press conference. The feud I had with Vince, shaving his head. I mean, that was
legendary stuff.
That was crazy.
That was
man.
Our whole childhood. That was legendary stuff,
yeah.
man. So
and that's the thing. Like I said before, there's times where I have to just like sit back and then just go down memory lane and say, man, I am. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've done some crazy stuff and I've lived a crazy life. And a lot of times when people meet me, they don't realize this because if I don't like let them into that world and they just know me and talk to me, they're like, oh, he's a cool ass dude, real good looking, good body. But they don't know all the backstory.
No, yeah. You don't know what it took to get there.
Stuff that I've been through, man.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
With so you bringing up everything you've done in your life and how like extraordinary it's been. Is there ever a time where you not necessarily regret, but where you think, man, I really wish I fought this person? Or is there any superstars that you wish that you had an opportunity to work with that you never got that chance?
I mean, with the exception of Taker, that would have I would have really had to challenge my character for Taker.
Yeah.
Because I was a good guy and Taker's Taker. So it would have been a hard feud to do. It would have had to be, I would have had to like really turn bad. I did it, but
Hurt
it wasn't.
Bobby.
Hurt business Bobby. Like that would have been different. Yeah, because Taker could have went after all of us, and we could have went after him in different ways. So of course, if anyone, I mean, Taker's a big deal. I was a huge Kane fan, fan growing up, and I had an opportunity to get chokeslammed by him a couple times, and then I did a battle royal with him, and I was telling that story yesterday too. I mean, this was probably like Albuquerque in 2007-ish, something like that. And we were doing a battle royal, and there was like 4 people left in the ring. There was, or actually 6. It was Kane and 2 guys on his side, and me and 2 guys on my side. Kane, boom, boom, gets rid of his guys. I'm fighting this guy, get rid of one, I get rid of another one. And then I'm standing facing away. So the ring is there, and I'm standing this way. Kane is on the other side of the ring in the corner, and I threw the last person over, and then I just stood there for a minute. And this is when I first came on, so everybody was like, "Oh, Bobby, I'm ready." And I sat and I stood there, and I was like, and I could hear him rumbling. I was like, "Oh, that's weird rumbling." And I turned over my shoulder and looked, and Kane standing on the other side, mask on, everything, just standing there. I was like, This is cool. I was like, he could kill me right now, and I'll be cool with it. This would be a great experience. But I got a chance to just go toe to toe with him. Of course, he threw me over, which is a huge honor, and just it was amazing being in the ring with him. But he threw me over the top, and then I went back, and I was like, that was awesome.
That's pretty cool because, I mean, yeah, y'all are colleagues, but at the same time, I loved how you said earlier, you're still a fan at the end of the day. Man. So I'm sure it was just jitters at that point. Like, wow, that's Kane standing across the ring from me. Always
is always like that.
We wanted to ask, when you ended your WWE, this latest run, you were in a program with the Street Profits. You guys were a group. We feel like the Street Profits are so underrated. Yeah. We love Montez Ford. We love Angelo Dawkins.
Of course.
We're ready for them to be taken to that next level.
Yeah.
Who knows when that happens? I hope it does happen. Me saying that, who are some of the wrestlers that you feel are very underrated to you? Like, don't get the respect that they deserve.
Definitely those two.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak all day on those guys. Before, a lot of people say Montez. Montez is out there. He is freaking. That dude is like the most gifted and talented person on that damn roster, and the fact that they don't give him his flowers the way they should pisses me off. Mm-hmm. I mean, but what's funny is like Dawkins is like low key the same as him.
Yeah.
They just don't understand him a lot of times. Dawkins is hilarious, very entertaining. He's a character in himself. He's extremely athletic, and he is great in the ring. He could do everything. Mm-hmm. And I always jump on him at times because he can do everything. People don't realize how big he is.
Yeah.
He's like 6'5", 280 pounds. Like, he's not a little dude.
And he moves
but he moves like a little guy. So sometimes when people are in the matches with him, they're like, oh, they think they can throw him around. I'm like, no, bro, nobody should throw you around. Yeah. And stop climbing up to the top of the damn room. Like, you're a big dude, just raw.
Yeah.
But those two are like, I mean, I seriously can talk all day about them. And I hope that the business allows them to really reach their potential. Yeah. And the hard thing with them is that both of them are great, and they're great together, but our tag team division doesn't give them an opportunity to shine. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people are like, if you split them up, man, Montez would do a great run, and Dawkins, but they don't want to, and they are like so good together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great.
The chemistry is amazing.
Perfect. It's because it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Those two are real. Like Montez sometimes is the big brother to the little brother Dawkins, and then sometimes it switches. But at the whole time, there's synergy together. Like they're the type of people that can literally start a conversation and he finishes it and he goes back and he goes back and they can talk without not talking. Like nonverbals. They like look at each other and it's like boom, everything's on point. So it's hard with those guys because yes, if they went singles, they would be huge stars and do some big things on their own. But man, as a tag team, they're just crazy.
They're phenomenal.
Good. They're crazy good. The other people that I would throw a huge shout out is one, I really like Theory.
Oh, so do we. Dude. You're
Yeah.
telling us.
That kid is magic. Like everything about him screams superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about him screams superstar. He has the size, he has the look, he has the build, he has the workability, he has the respect. In the locker room, he's a good dude. He's a good kid. And I was just watching him do something on NXT the other day, and I was like, man, he's locking everything down. Promos are like everything. He's a character. His character. He's mastered being him.
Yeah.
Which, and I mean, like I always tell him every time when I talk to him, like, bro, you remember me when you're making those billions because you're on your way. Like if WWE doesn't give you what you want, anywhere else you go, they will do. They can put you in movies tomorrow, and you'll be a superstar. And I say that because of his attitude. That's a big thing. That kid has always been super respectful to me, and I've been in the ring with like a lot of these other guys coming up that they were just. I mean, it is what it is. They think they're just superstars, and they haven't. It is what it is. They're going to tell you versus talk with you, and Theory's always been that guy that was like super respectful to everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone loves working with him. He'll make you look like $1 million.
Yeah.
Because
His sales are phenomenal.
Yeah. He'll make you look like $1 million because he gets that he looks like $1 million without doing anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what people are talking about. And it's like, I was like, bro, just let them, if they feel the need to have to use you to make themselves look good, and some guys try to do it because they're all about the politics, so they bop him around and stuff like that, which they shouldn't. Nobody in that roster should be bopping him around. But I said, if that's what they need, then just give it to them. Because you can just stand there and you'll get over way more than they will, no matter what. Because people are like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
He's the star. So him, I don't want to talk about some of the older guys. I mean, LA Knight was a good friend of mine back in Impact, and I had talked with him when we were in Impact also. And he was like, in that, like, and I used to always tell him, I was like, bro, they can't deny you, regardless of anything. Even when he first came back on WWE, he was going through that time where he was just kind of like almost like a jobber, like he was losing everything. Yeah. And he used to pull me aside at times, and he was like, man, what do I do? Like, I'm upset. And I was like, go, I said, they cannot deny you. All they have to do is put you on TV, and you'll be a star. No matter what they do, they can't do anything bad to you to take that away from you. Yeah. That's where I got to the end of my career. I mean, when things changed in there, it was like I got pulled off of a lot of things, and I was like, okay, I mean, you can pull me off, but I said, just as long as I get a second on TV, they're like, anytime when I walked out, Bobby, the crowd went crazy. I was like, man, they're trying to bury me as much as they can, pull me off of WrestleMania, the first time in my entire career, just put me in the back where I was just in the background, just wearing a suit, doing nothing. I was like, all right, if you guys can put me in the back and I'm wearing a suit, I'm going to get some slick-ass suits to put on. Dude, you look so cool. It was like, I was like, anytime you guys give me an ounce of time on TV, I'm going to look like a friggin' star. Yeah. And that's what it's about. So I could go down the roster. There's so many other guys, and I don't want to miss anybody, but those names, the Street Profits, Theory, they definitely stick out. BFAB also. BFAB.
Oh, yeah.
She's been working her ass off. I hope she can come into a character that is something that she can run with, because the women's division is really almost tougher than the men's division if you think about it. Every one of those girls, like, how do you get past Jade and Bianca and then Rhea, Charlotte? Like, where is it? We're not even to Asuka yet. You know, Asuka is friggin' amazing. Mia, there's so many different girls in there. Like, going into that's tough because there's not very many places to go. Right. You know? But I think she's doing the right thing. She's staying in there. She's working her ass off with Natalya over at their gym, and everything else, she's a student of the game. I think she's going to be something big soon.
That's great.
You mentioned looking nice in a suit.
Yeah.
One of your friends looks very nice in a suit as well. Mr. MVP. I'm about to say, would you mind explaining, like, how was that type of connection? Like, what initially set up that that partnership between you two in the second run the MVP did? Obviously not from the first run back in the day, but like, when he came in and started doing the management type role and everything like that, like, how did that all come about?
The last one, me and MVP, we started the stuff in Impact.
Okay.
And we were like, man, we have some synergy here. This is like
Great chemistry.
cool.
Yeah.
And then we left, and then there's a big span in between. I came back to WWE. I was there for a while, and I was doing the stuff with Lana for a while, and I was like, what other role can we kind of play with, So I thought about a role of, and I was like putting this thing together. I was like, a cool role would be a mix between Don King, Suge Knight, and then The Rock and the players, that characters and players. So you see where I'm coming from? It's like you got the manager, you have the dirty Don King, and then you got the you do what I say.
Yeah.
It's like in Pulp Fiction when he was like, you're gonna go out there and lose, and if pride gets in your way,
Yeah.
Pride, it's one of those, and I wanted to be that character where I can kind of start managing people, but then if I tell you to do something, you do something. And I wanted to manage people on both sides. So it's all right, in this match, you guys can go out, good match out there, but I need you to lose. And I want to go, but I'm not, but it's for the title. Yeah, but that's okay. You're going to lose. I don't want to lose. You're going to lose.
Yeah.
Like almost like bully him. So I was thinking of all this character put together. And then P came back for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And he came back because Ray got him in because he just wanted to be able to perform one time for his son, because he had a son and his son never seen him wrestle.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, I just want my son to be able to see me in the ring in WWE. So he did that. And at the time I was backstage and I was like sitting with Shelton and I was like, wait a minute. I said, that's like the character is P. I was like, that is in real life MVP. And before I was fighting, and my boxing coach used to always wear this T-shirt that said the Hurt Business on it. And I was like, man, that's a cool last name. I kept it. I loved it. And then I went over to Shelton. I was like, hey man, do you think P will be up for this? Like linking back up and doing it. And then the three of us and I put it all together. And then I went to P, and then I talked to him, and then they were like, well, this is the way that Bobby can break away from Lana. So we started working in that, and it was supposed to be me and P just kind of doing something for a little while, but everybody was like, man, that's good. And then me and P, we were going to this like restaurant afterwards. And if you look back on my Instagram a while back, me and P did this deal where the manager was there and we were walking by and he bumped into us, and I just like grabbed him, threw him against the wall and held his face. And then P came to him and he was like, you got a problem with this? And the guy was like, no. And then he said, you got a problem with this? I don't have a problem. He said, well, next time, make sure that you like move out of the way when you see us coming through or something like that. and then I let him go. I had him like pinned up against the wall with his face like that, and the camera was in there. And then I kind of let him go like that, and I just stood in front of him, and the guy was like just standing there. And he was like, "Come on, Bobby, let's go." And I was just like, I was looking at him, I was like, I could smash.
Even if I knew it was work, I'd be like, oh my god.
And that's how this guy was. This guy was like, I was so scared. and then we walked off, and we did that video, and I put it on my Instagram, and people were like, that's great. And then from there, I was like, that's our character. That's who we are. Yeah. Like, I'm that dude. Because I without saying, like, toot my horn or anything like that, I can fight.
Right.
And then I have an imposing figure also to a lot of people. And MVP can talk. And he's all about talking. He will talk trash with the best of them. He will beat you up like anytime. On the mic, he will fight you. And then Shelton came in, and we was like, oh, we got to go with Shelton. But the three of us, we needed a kind of young boy, as you would say in Japan. So we were looking for that person. We ran into Cedric. We was like, Cedric is perfect for us. So when we put it together, that was our whole idea. It was like, we can make anybody else. And if you think about it this way, the guys that were coming up, look what they have to do. The first thing they can do is first we all come to bully them. Then they go with Cedric. So you can have like a fantastic match. Cedric can do anything. That dude can move. Yeah. But you can beat him. Because he's young, So that's what it was. He's going to give you it all. And you have us to watch out for. So you got to kind of overcome us a little bit. And then if you make it past that stage, you have Shelton. And Shelton's like, he has what Cedric has, and he has what I have. So it's kind of like but he's bigger. So, but you can't be a jack of all trades in wrestling, right? So with him, you can either like, it's like he's good at both. So you can essentially overcome Shelton. But if you overcome Shelton, here comes Juggernaut, me.
Yeah.
And then all the while, you're having to get in the ring and cut promos against P. So now look at this. As a student coming in, if you make it through us, you're on your way.
Yeah.
You know, Riddle did. So you have a great match with Cedric, and then you go with Shelton. You have a great match with Shelton, but he has a little bit of power too, so you have to overcome both. And then next thing, you got me, and I'm just going to smash you. And then P is crushing you on the mic, so you got to step up with him too. And then you got all of us that are going to cheat behind the grass back to make sure you don't win.
Yeah.
So you don't have to beat all of us, but you're getting put through a test. And if you can pass this test, you're on your way.
Yeah.
Riddle, he went on his way. We sent Apollo on his way. Ricochet did a little bit with us, but I was like, man, we are so good for the business. Because we can just help everybody excel by beating all of us in every facet of wrestling. There's nothing you're missing there.
Yeah.
Y'all were clean.
It was just a great deal. Yeah.
The fact that we never got you guys in the bloodline was a travesty.
Oh, yeah.
Travesty.
Yeah.
Factions are big right now, so it's like, yeah, looking at the Hurt Business, Prime Hurt Business was like, gosh, man, there's so many matchups we wish we saw.
Yeah, we started it too at that time because everybody was off. And you know what? I accept being a trendsetter, and I'm not going to say, like, you know, if you say something like P came out and said, well, the bloodline started because of us or something like that, and everybody like just dogged on him and they're like, no, it wasn't. Let's not compare. It's not even about the comparison. We had something and it was great. The one thing that I can say is that people have upped their dress because of us. Like, we came in suits, and now you see everybody putting suits on and coming out there. And I was like, that's good, because when we came out with those suits on, we were like, we're stars. You go to an NBA show, you don't see guys coming in like old gym clothes and a raggedy shirt on in front of the fans. Because if I never watch wrestling, I used to tell people, if I never watch wrestling and I pulled up to the show and I had tickets to the show, and I was parked out back with all the fans, I was like, let's go watch the wrestlers come in. If you see one guy come up with a little beat up car and he has beat up clothes on, he's pulling his bag, he looks sloppy, you're like, all right, that's not the guy, not the guy. And then you see a guy pull up in a nice car, you see him come out suited, look good, walking in, you're like, oh, that guy's got to be something. So now when you go through to the show and you watch the show, you're like, oh, there was that one guy that I saw come out there, you know? And then now on top of it, he's in his ring gear. Man, he looks like $1 million. He's got to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
So you got to play the part also.
Yeah. You know, we're talking about MVP here. You know, he just debuted in AEW. What are your thoughts on that, him debuting there? Hopefully they use him pretty good.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I have an idea. I mean, I think, you know, we'll see him there, and then I think hopefully maybe we'll see you there.
You think they have enough money for me? I'm
that's a good
expensive.
question. That's a good question.
MVP is great, man. The one thing that I know with Tony Khan, and this is one thing that I've seen that's really cool, and the fans need to understand this, because sometimes the fans come out and they say, oh, man, they're just getting old WWE guys. I'm like, no, man. With any show, you want to have, you need your guys that are established to help establish some of the guys that aren't there. So MVP coming over brings a lot of notoriety,
right?
And it brings a fan base, and it brings a level of stardom that they can use at that show. Some of their guys there are fantastic wrestlers. They just need to be in the ring with certain. Because if you put a fantastic wrestler against another fantastic wrestler, and you just try to sell the match, it's hard, because some of the people are like, well, you know, oh, they did some cool stuff. Yeah. But once you start mixing in some different people, the Daniel Bryans, and you start mixing in Edge and Christian, and some of those guys in there, Samoa Joe and everything like that, those guys get a good rub off of them. And I think what Tony Khan's doing, because I'm still friends with MVP, so I talked to him about going over there, and I said, how was it over there? And, you know, are they good? And one thing that a lot of people say when they're over there is that Tony Khan's a really good dude. Right. Like he's genuinely saying to some of the people that go over there, he's like, you deserve to still carry on if you want to. Edge, I know Edge was like kind of like being pushed out, and Edge was like, no, I took time off, and I was able to get clear, and I want to come in here. I still have some stuff left in the tank, and I want to have fun. I want to go out there and do it. I don't want it to be stressful, but I want to still be able to do it. And I think Tony Khan came in and said, you deserve to. You're a legend of this business, and you can help us out. And I think we can help you out by maybe supplementing your income for the next few years. And I think that's what they did. And I think that's what MVP is doing also. You know, he got pulled off TV early, and he wasn't on TV for a while. Put him back on TV, and as you see, I saw that promo. It was an awesome promo that he cut. You know, he really told a good story. And I think that he can carry on and make some money for them, and he can escalate some of their guys. Yeah. So I think it's a good deal for him.
Yeah.
As far as for, I mean, speaking on older wrestlers or just like, you know, you are a vet in the business and everything like that. Other than yourself, do you think you can name a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? In your personal opinion? Sorry to put you on the spot. That's just something that we always like to mess.
I don't even want to do that. I don't even want to go there. And the reason why I don't want to go there is because there's a whole bunch of variables. Like I can have like, is 6 people or 5 people, right?
I think it's 4. Unfortunately,
4 which makes it even harder.
Okay, so if like I can name 4 for this reason, I can name 4 for this reason, and then I can have like 6 different Mount Rushmores. You know? Everything Kurt Angle can be on this one, Rock can be over here, Roman can be over here, Cena can be over here. You know, you don't really know. There's just so many people. I think it's like who you think. You know, it could be Ultimate Warrior, it could be Goldberg. You know, like some people are like, oh, not Goldberg. He's a notable name. And what makes it. And what makes the list? You know?
It's all opinion based.
Yeah, it's completely opinion based. Like if you went just to poll of people across the board and start naming pro wrestlers off and see, do you know this name? Do you know this name? Do you know this name? And then took that poll, could that be your Mount Rushmore? Because I think if you go across the board, I think if you name say like a Bret Hart to certain people, like general population, they may not even know who he is. Right. But then if you name Rock, everybody's going to know. So is Rock the number one? And then if you name Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're like, oh, I heard of him. Ric Flair, oh, I heard of him. Goldberg, oh, I heard of him. So is that like, that list, I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know what it is. And then you go, is it the best technical wrestler? Right. Or is it the most popular wrestler?
You can also go by characters as well.
Characters, Macho Man. Like how many people have you said Macho Man? They go, oh yeah,
exactly.
You know, all kinds of different things. And then if you throw some old names like Coco Beware, but like, oh yeah, I know him, or like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know, there's so many different names that you can. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It's like there's so many. The Undertaker. Yeah, you know. The list is endless. Brock, you know, there's so many different names. So I don't even think I would even want to entertain coming up with a name. I just hope to be somewhere in that top 20, you know, 30 or whatever it is.
You mentioned Kurt Angle just a minute ago.
Yeah.
You big wrestling background himself and you. Yeah. Did he play a part in you coming to WWE, like getting into professional wrestling?
He got me in.
Oh, did he?
Oh, okay,
nice.
He
got me in, yeah. I was at the Olympic Training Center training. Getting ready for amateur wrestling, of course. And Kurt was doing a vignette with WWE. So he came back to his roots, where he was at the Olympic Training Center to do a video. And he saw me and he was like, man, you got a pretty good look. I was, yeah. And then we exchanged numbers. And he was like, you ever think about doing pro wrestling? And at the time, I was just tunnel focused on making it to the Olympics. And I remember the conversation he had. He said, you know what? If you would have done what you did in football, he said, you would have been making millions in the NFL or basketball. You'd have been making millions. We as amateur wrestlers, we don't have that pro league. Yeah. He said, so think about it, because this is your pro league and you should be in the pros and you should be making money. You put in the time, you put in the work, you put in the effort. So you should be making some big money in WWE. So he linked me up with Briscoe, and then the rest was history. I got in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Another one I wanted to mention too is I just wanted to give Shelton Benjamin his flowers.
Yes.
Shelton Benjamin also, I think, deserves to be on that underrated list because I love Shelton Benjamin. I think about the Money in the Bank matches, the first one at WrestleMania 21 and 22. Shelton Benjamin, to me, makes those matches, his moments. And the fact that he didn't get a world title run in WWE is it's crazy to me because he was the athletic wrestlers that we see now. He was that back in the day when we didn't have too many of those. I felt.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm gonna text him and tell him that because
thank you.
he would appreciate. Sheldon is a good dude. Sheldon's like my brother. You know.
Yeah.
It's like I love the guy to death, and I think his problem was, and he knows it, and I tell him too. It's like you didn't. he was too humble. That's his problem. And back there, it's good and bad because certain people don't have to be humble, certain people do, and he felt the need that he had to. His class that he came out of was probably one of the best classes that came out of
Ohio Wrestling.
It was like him, Brock, Cena, Batista, Randy Orton.
Legendary lineup.
Everyone came out that time,
Cena.
and he was the best one at the time in OVW. He was that dude. Like he was doing crazy stuff at 250 pounds, like jumping off, like doing anything. He was so agile, so quick, so athletic, and he just didn't embrace the stardom.
Yeah.
He focused more on being a great wrestler, which he did. And sometimes you have to say, I don't need to be the best wrestler. I need to be the best superstar.
Yeah.
And start doing that. And I think that's where he kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit. And if he would have just been a little bit more forceful, I think he could have got more and put himself in better positions.
Yeah.
But sometimes in that business, certain people get suppressed. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's just life.
Yeah.
You know? And he got suppressed a lot of times. But I love Shelton to death. I think he's arguably one of the greatest wrestlers ever.
Yeah,
and
he's fantastic.
And he deserves his flowers, like you said. And I'll definitely let him know that you said that about him because he would appreciate that. But being humble in this game is the hardest thing.
I believe it.
And the easiest thing at the same time. I stay humble, and I made it a long way without ever like going to the office and like bitching and complaining. I've never been that dude.
Right.
If they told me to do something, I did it. You know, I was out there with Lana. I was out there beating up my sisters and everything like that. So I was just like, look, just put me on TV and I'll do the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, I was going to say, we had the opportunity to go to WrestleMania 38. We always love talking about that. We love that WrestleMania. We're also biased because, we went to it. But how was it working with Omos at that Mania?
That was cool. And I'm taking the credit for Omos, everybody else will, because he started turning it on after that. Because when he first came out, they were going to fire him.
Yeah.
Because he heard a couple people and he's a freaking giant.
Huge.
Yeah.
Like he makes me feel like a child.
Yeah.
And when he came in there at the beginning, he was wrestling with certain people, and there was a couple people like, gosh dang it, like mad and yelling at him and trying to make him look bad to the office and trying to get him fired because he hit him too hard and stuff like that. So when they put him with me, I was like, I'll work with him because I understand where he's coming from. Yeah. And I had the mentality of like Taker. Taker looked at somebody like him saying, I want to work with that guy. Yeah. Some of these guys are like, I want to work with my buddy because we can make a cool match. We can do cool stuff. Man, you got to overcome obstacles. That's what wrestling is about. And I was like, he's an obstacle for me. Like not too many people are, but he is an obstacle for me. He's bigger, stronger. Stronger. He's bigger, but it's an obstacle for me. And what was kind of messed up is like 3 weeks or maybe it was like 2 months before that, I tore my shoulder in a bunch of different areas. Wrestling Brock at the Rumble, so it was maybe 3 months earlier, so whatever it was. And I went through and I tore like everything. I tore my rotator cuff, labrum, everything was just jacked up. In my AC joint, everything was just jacked up. Like I even got back, and I don't want anybody to see the Almighty injured. Then you're not the Almighty. So I was like, I'm good. I'm good. and when I went home, I was like, God, I can't even raise my eyes. I couldn't even move my arm. My daughter had to help me. My 12-year-old daughter at the time was helping me put my shirt on because I couldn't even move my arm.
Right.
And then Vince called me in and they were going to have me off, and then I was going to miss WrestleMania because they were thinking surgery and all this other stuff. So I actually went and got stem cell the first time.
Okay.
And I got stem cell and I was out for a few weeks, and then I went to that match. The doctor said I was going to have surgery, and I had stem cell. I came back and rehab like crazy, and I just came back. Everybody's like, oh my God, he's going against Omos. When Omos was killing people, and I stepped up to Omos, and everybody was like, "Oh, we want to see this." And it was kind of one of those freak matches that I was like, "I like this." Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. There's not a lot of build up because there didn't need to be.
Right.
It's a giant.
It sells itself,
Can Bobby beat this giant? So that was what it was all about. And Omos again, like I'm extremely positive when I go with different people.
Right.
That dude's extremely intelligent. He's extremely cool. He's the nicest guy that you would ever meet.
That's awesome.
As a giant, he is scary, but he is the nicest, coolest guy that you would ever meet. Like I would like my kids. I would leave my kids with him.
Right.
He's that guy.
Okay.
Just a really good dude. And the fact that they're not using him now is
Yeah.
like
We talked about that on here too. It's
that's
like
stupid. I'm sorry.
If he's back in the day, he's
a star.
Bonafide star.
Yeah,
he's a star.
Because that was like Big Show.
He
and,
can move. He
Yeah.
can move too, and he's learned. So
Yes.
after I worked him, then now everybody want to work him. There was a lot of people worked him. He worked a match with Brock, and it was a good match. He worked a match with Seth, and it was a good match. And everybody's like, I like this. And things change, and regime changed, and different things like that. And then they pulled him off, and they haven't used him. I'm like, man, come on. You don't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, these guys need to stop worrying about wrestling their buddies and start overcoming obstacles so that the crowd can see overcoming obstacles. That's what wrestling's about.
Yeah.
He is an obstacle for anyone.
Yeah.
He should be in there working with LA Knight. He should be working with Cody. He should be working with Roman. He should be in the match with all those guys
Right.
at some point in time. You can beat him if you want to, or you can figure it out. But overcome that obstacle, because these other guys aren't overcoming obstacles. They're wrestling. Oh, I want my buddy. So he's like, oh, okay, this is a cool match. Oh, all right. There's no emotional attachment
Right.
with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Man, have an obstacle, like a real legitimate obstacle that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
And stop being Superman all the damn time, man. Everybody's Superman.
We've had
I'm
that conversation.
Superman.
We've had that conversation on here that there are certain superstars nowadays where it's like, there's no emotional buildup anymore sometimes, and it's just all about, hey, I respect you. Let's have a match. No, let's see that challenge.
Yeah, why? Like, and put something behind it. We don't just tell a story 10 years later. It's like, as a champion, you should go against the toughest.
Right.
These damn champions didn't even go against me. Like, I was like, what? You going to keep me in the suit to bring me down so
Yeah.
that your level can go up, bro?
Yeah.
I should have wrestled every one of these guys. I called
agree.
Gunther. I was like, man, I should wrestle Gunther. You,
Oh my
you
God!
think you're
Can
this?
you imagine?
Bro.
Can you imagine?
No, I don't think it's the right time.
No way.
I was like, the fuck are you talking about? Excuse me.
no, you're good.
What are you talking about, Cody? Like, why aren't you like me?
Yes.
Like,
That would have been
if you had to beat
amazing.
me, beat me.
Yeah.
But I'm the obstacle that you should overcome, not your buddy.
Yeah.
And it's not anything harping on any of these guys, but that's what wrestling's about.
Yeah.
It's about overcoming those obstacles. Like, look for those challenges. Challenges in, can I have a good match against this guy? That's a challenge in a match.
Yeah.
Like, you can, if you have a match, there's certain people that you can have a match with right now, and you're going to have a great match.
Right.
No matter what. Like the Seth, you'll have a great match with him. AJ, you'll have a great match with him. There's certain guys that you can just have a great match with. No, take some of those guys that you may not be able to have a good match with and show that you can.
Yeah.
That's what's cool, and that's what we need to have a little bit more. And I like that about wrestling, and I hope that can come more. And it's not taking anything away from any one of these champions, like I said, because I think everybody's doing fantastic. I just wish that I had an opportunity to go against some of these guys, and just let the crowd see it. And I think that we were scared because he was like, "Oh, I don't know if we want to have Bobby in front of these guys."
Yeah,
I don't know if that was it, but when Gunther was rolling, I was like, man, it would have been cool. If we,
amazing.
And you know what? There was one thing that I wanted to do with him, and everybody would have been like, ooh, and because if we were still the Hurt Business, and I was like, I want to roll up on him, and I want Gunther to say, people like you don't deserve a chance at my title.
Oh my God.
And people were even like, what do you say? Because we would have toed that line.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the German,
Right.
and then these black dudes and like this, like, is there a little bit of racial tension a little bit there? We didn't have to go there because we would be like, whoa, what do you mean by people like you? He could be like older guys in wrestling or something like that.
Like, oh, yeah, that's what
but the crowd would have been like, did he say that? But I don't know if we could have went there, but if we could have, it would have been hilarious. But there were so many things that you can kind of toe the line with in there. And that could have been just a huge feud. It would have
been
for the Hurt Business and them, the Hurt Business and the Bloodline. I think we dropped the ball on a lot of those things. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. But if they're not going that direction, they don't have to go that direction. But I think we dropped the ball on a few of those.
Oh, we agree. we wanted to see you in more stuff, and it was one of those things where it's like they're not using you, so it's like, geez, I understand why.
It was unfortunate. Yeah.
I had some good catering at that time. I got some good workouts.
Well, and what's crazy too is the potential, even with you and the Street Profits.
Yes.
It's outstanding as well. So it's a travesty that it didn't plan out. But
we were trying to get Bianca with them too and go over to.
We needed a heel. We called for that. We needed a heel Bobby Lashley, Street Profits, and a heel Bianca leading the way.
I don't see. She doesn't. She
doesn't want to turn heel.
She's so much of an inspiration for so many people.
Yeah,
that she can't.
She's kind of on that John Cena level.
Yeah, she really is. Little girls absolutely love her.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. Bianca is. She is a absolute superstar. On the just the acting part is fantastic. Her athletic ability in the ring, absolutely incredible. Her fire, everything about her. She like her and Montez are like just superstar couple. Like those two have
their own
the
Hulu
best
show.
of the best. yeah. When I saw their reality show, and that was. I went to their premiere, and I was like, "This is hilarious!" Like sometimes you have to watch your buddy on the show. You're like, "All right, what is he trying to do?" I was like, "Nah, I could watch this show. These two are good.
It was good.
Yes.
They're really good."
Bobby, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming out, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, this means a lot to us.
To close, we want to ask you 2 questions here.
Yes.
We're a big WWE podcast, but we are also into superheroes, movies, that type of stuff. Can you give us your favorite superhero and your favorite movie?
Oh, superhero. Damn. I'm going to get in trouble because everybody's big superhero fans.
I'm sure you can tell mine.
I know. I mean, it's hard to beat Superman because he's super.
Hey, you're not going to hear any hate from me. I love Superman as well.
Yeah.
But the Incredible Hulk is something that is. I'm gonna go with the body guy, so I'm gonna go with the Hulk.
There you go.
Go
There you go.
And then movie, man, I can go all day long because I was talking to Emily about it too. The 300.
I love 300.
And the only reason I like 300, I think it was just a brilliant movie. Not just because of the fighting part. I like the narration of the movie. The narration of the movie was like somebody from that time talking about what happened.
Yeah.
Like these big animals that move the earth as they move.
Yeah.
If you've never seen an elephant before, that's how what is this?
Yeah.
That's how you would describe it. So the way that they were describing the movie and the way it was going, and just like the family structure, how he gave his wife power and he was training his son to be a man and everything, and just fighting for what you believe in, is standing up for yourself. And when the messenger came to see him and he told him that to bow down, he turned to his wife and looked, and he turned to all the kids and looked, and turned to his village and looked, and turned back to him, and he turned back to his wife, and his wife gave him the nod. I was like, that's the
cinema, Bobby. That's why we love it.
He was getting, like, because me being a dad and me being somebody that likes to take care of people, I was like, that was such a cool experience. Yeah. That to me made the whole show, and I was locked in at that. So I like that movie.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm about to say, I mean, like we said, Bobby, we definitely appreciate this. Real quick though, I want to give a shout out to Natalia for making this possible. So you can go follow her.
Natalia.
So you can go follow her at Vidal_management_co. But yes, like I said, Bobby, we don't take this for granted. We definitely appreciate you being the first guest on our podcast.
Yeah, man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Lashley.